The great lecture halls of Krysalion Prime's Academy of Galactic Diplomacy buzzed with eager discussion. Delegates from over 50 civilizations filled the room, an amalgamation of alien species from the cold depths of Icarus 7 to the molten plains of Zeralis. The topic of today's lecture was unusual, almost absurd. Terran diplomacy, mercy as strategy. At the podium stood Dr. Myxa Karion, a highly respected scholar from the aquatic Orenic species. Her translucent bioluminescent skin shimmered under the soft overhead lights. She adjusted her eye stalks, scanning the restless crowd with an unreadable expression. "Terrans," she began, her voice amplified by the crystalline acoustics of the hall. A species that, by all accounts, should have burned itself out millennia ago. And yet, they not only survived, they thrived. How? Through a concept so alien, so counterintuitive to galactic norms, that many of you have dismissed it outright. Restraint. The hall rippled with murmurs. A hulking Garnock warlord, his crimson carapace gleaming, scoffed loudly. Restraint? Or cowardice? A species too weak to claim its rightful place among the stars. Dr. Karion raised a hand, silencing the room. On the contrary, Warlord Calax, Terrans possess weaponry capable of obliterating entire systems in minutes, fleets so advanced that even the most fortified planets would be reduced to ash. Yet they rarely engage in direct combat. A three-dimensional hologram of Earth flickered into existence, surrounded by orbital defense stations and a vast, dormant fleet. The crowd studied it, noting the sheer technological sophistication. The hologram shifted, showing diplomatic negotiations, trade routes, and interspecies accords spanning decades. They extend olive branches where others launch missiles, Dr. Karion continued. They broker peace where others seek conquest, but why? A young Alaran diplomat, her insectoid wings twitching nervously, raised an appendage. Perhaps they fear retaliation, a galaxy united against them. Karion's bioluminescent glow dimmed slightly, signaling amusement. Interesting hypothesis, but incorrect. Terrans fear nothing. Not retaliation, not loss, not extinction. Their mercy is not born of fear, but of calculation. They see violence as the last resort, not the first. The Garnock warlord leaned forward, his serrated mandibles clicking. And if they are provoked? Surely even their so-called mercy has limits. Karion's glow shifted to a deep contemplative blue. Ah, an astute question. Their history is rife with examples of what happens when the line is crossed. Would you like to see? With a wave of her hand, the hologram transformed into historical footage from Earth's archives. The first interstellar war, where a rival species attempted to enslave humanity, flashed across the screen. Terran ships, dormant and defensive, suddenly came alive. Their counterattack was swift, precise, and devastating, crippling the invaders' fleet without annihilation. The invaders, forced into a peace accord, became one of humanity's closest allies. The audience watched in stunned silence as the footage shifted to the Eclipse conflict, where Terran forces repelled an invasion from a galactic empire, not with brute force but by disabling their infrastructure and offering the defeated empire economic support to rebuild. Mercy is their weapon, Karion concluded, her voice tinged with awe. But it is not weakness, it is a warning. As the hologram faded, the room fell silent. Calax, the warlord, broke the quiet. So they wait. They watch. But what happens when the galaxy pushes them too far? Dr. Karion's glow dimmed ominously. When pushed to the brink, Terrans unleash something even they fear: total war. And when they do, there are no victors, only survivors. The hall sat in uneasy quiet, each delegate pondering the enigma of Terra. Somewhere deep in the crowd, a shadowy figure smiled, his golden eyes gleaming with intrigue. Push them too far? Let's see if their mercy can truly withstand the galaxy's fury. The meeting adjourned, but the echoes of Dr. Karion's words lingered in the minds of the delegates. Few left the hall unaffected, their perceptions of humanity challenged and upended. For most, it was a revelation. For some, it was an opportunity. In the farthest reaches of the galaxy, On the barren moon Krivax, a clandestine council convened. The Dominion of Solaris, a loose confederation of war-hardened species, had long viewed humanity's rise with suspicion. Their leaders gathered in the dimly lit chamber, the air thick with the scent of burning minerals. Towering banners bearing sigils of conquest draped the walls. At the head of the table sat Chancellor Threx, a reptilian with glistening emerald scales and an aura of commanding presence. His voice was a deep, guttural growl that reverberated through the room. Dr. Karion paints the Terrans as saints, wielding restraint like a shield. I see something else, a weakness we can exploit. Across from him, Lorien Rax, an enigmatic strategist from the misty plains of Etherion, folded her 6 spindly arms. Her silken voice cut through the tension. Weakness or patience, humanity has proven unpredictable. They are neither conquerors nor cowards. Patience is a facade, Threx snarled, slamming his clawed hand on the table. They bide their time, amassing allies and resources. If we do not act, they will tighten their grip on this galaxy. We must provoke them, force them to show their hand. Rax's multifaceted eyes gleamed with curiosity. And how do you propose we do that? Threx gestured toward a holographic display of Kepler 22d, a lush, resource-rich world under Terran protection. Its waters teemed with life, and its skies sparkled with bioluminescent clouds. Kepler, the crown jewel of their territorial claims. If we take it, humanity must act. They cannot ignore an affront of this scale. Rax tilted her head. And when they retaliate? Threx bared his jagged teeth in a grin. Then we will reveal the galaxy's greatest secret. Humanity is not invincible. If they fight, we will expose the limits of their so-called mercy. Meanwhile, on Earth's orbital command, Admiral Elena Krylov studied the incoming transmission from Kepler 22d. The distress call came from Outpost Elysium, one of humanity's most advanced frontier colonies. The holographic feed flickered to life, showing a battle-ravaged settlement. Smoke billowed into the emerald sky as alien warships loomed ominously overhead. The colony's governor, his face bloodied and desperate, pleaded for assistance. "This is Governor Terran of Outpost Elysium. We are under siege by Sularian forces. They've breached the perimeter. Casualties mounting." The feed cut off abruptly. Krylov's jaw tightened as she turned to her crew. "Send word to High Command. Mobilize the fleet." "But Admiral," Lieutenant Asher Dorn interjected, his youthful face betraying concern. "If we retaliate, it will escalate. The Solarians might be baiting us into war." Krylov's piercing gaze softened slightly. "And if we do nothing, what message does that send? We cannot abandon our people." "But our principles," Dorn pressed. "Mercy has always been our strength. To forsake it..." Krylov interrupted him, her voice firm but tempered. "Mercy is not submission, Lieutenant. It is knowing when to hold the line and when to draw it. Prepare the fleet. I will lead the response personally." As the Terran Vanguard fleet launched from its orbital stations, a wave of unease swept through the galactic community. News of the assault on Kepler spread like wildfire, igniting debates across countless systems. Was this the moment humanity abandoned its restraint? On board her flagship, the TDF Resolute, Krylov stood at the helm, her sharp features illuminated by the soft glow of tactical displays. She addressed her crew, her voice resonating with determination. "To be continued."